Good afternoon and welcome back. You're watching the Midday Report here on TVP World, and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. And we start our service by going to the French capital. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelenskyy has arrived in Paris to join discussions with the so-called coalition of the willing leaders, including European officials and U.S. envoys. The talks focus on providing robust security guarantees for Ukraine as the deal to end Russia's nearly 4-year full-scale invasion is 90% ready. What are Zelenskyy's expectations and why is this meeting so significant for Europe? Our special correspondent Alex Cadier is in Paris and has the details.
Well, there's 35 countries represented here in Paris. We have 27 heads of state and government. The Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, President Zelenskyy, of course, is here for this meeting of the coalition of the willing, those countries wanting to continue support for Ukraine. The leaders will hash out in detail now what a ceasefire in this war might look like. If a ceasefire is agreed with Vladimir Putin and Russia to stop his invasion of Ukraine, what does that look like? What do European countries have to do to maintain that ceasefire, to monitor that ceasefire, and to continue supporting the Ukrainian armed forces? Those will be the questions addressed by the leaders in the next few hours. Of course, there will be questions addressed in the last few days by national security advisors, by military chiefs, but now it is for those heads of state and government to address that detail. Now, so much of this will be top secret military planning from these countries, but there will be impacts, of course, for Central and Eastern Europe. We know that Poland will play a very significant role. They will be the key logistics hub for any reassurance force, any force of other countries, be they French, be they British, be they German soldiers coming to the region, will almost certainly be going through Poland. Another interesting detail in this meeting, Andrej Babiš, the new Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. There were questions as to whether or not he would be a Ukraine skeptic like Viktor Orban of Hungary, like Robert Fico of Slovakia. Well, he is here, the Czech Prime Minister. Questions for him about that ammunition initiative that the Czech Republic had organized under the last government, providing much needed ammunition to the Ukrainian armed forces. Will the Czech Republic continue to do so? Many countries here want him to continue it. He will be addressing that with other leaders here today and then back in Prague in the next 24 hours. Certainly a lot to play for, a lot to decide. But crucially, a big question about the United States, represented here by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, the presidential envoy and son-in-law of Donald Trump, as to what the U.S. will provide as a backstop. There will be a big impact for the region of Central and Eastern Europe, a big impact for Ukraine, if a ceasefire is possible. In Paris, I'm Alex Cadier for TVP World.
European solidarity and respect for the integrity of European states are fundamental issues, said Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk while on his way to the meeting in Paris. The Polish leader said that Denmark can count on European solidarity over Greenland, adding that NATO members should not attack or threaten each other. This statement coming after recent comments made by U.S. President Donald Trump following Washington's intervention in Venezuela last weekend.
We are very keen for any potential disputes or discussions to be resolved through friendly dialogue between NATO members. European solidarity and respect for the integrity of European states are fundamental issues. So, of course, Denmark can count on the solidarity of all of Europe. I have no doubts about that. But at the same time, Poland is one of the best examples here. We must do everything to ensure that European-American ties, these transatlantic ties, which are, after all, the foundation of NATO and our security, do not suffer in the coming days and months as a result of various announcements, decisions, or misunderstandings.
European leaders have expressed support for Denmark and Greenland in a joint Tuesday statement saying the Arctic island belongs to its people. It comes in the wake of the weekend raid by U.S. forces that deposed Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro and Donald Trump's subsequent repetition of his desire to take control of the Danish territory.
The ousted Venezuelan leader, Nicolas Maduro, is returned to a U.S. detention center after pleading not guilty to narco-terrorism charges. The former president appeared in the New York City federal court following early morning raids on the Venezuelan capital, Caracas, on Saturday. Maduro was captured and then flown to the United States. On Monday, Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth mocked Moscow-supplied defenses after they failed to stop the American military raid.
3 nights ago, in downtown Caracas in Venezuela, as nearly 200 of our greatest Americans went downtown in Caracas Seems those Russian air defenses didn't quite work so well, did they?
Meanwhile, the Taiwan news reports that Taipei says it is ready for all contingencies after questions were raised over whether China could emulate a Venezuela-style assault. Taiwan's defense minister said the country's armed forces have emergency response protocols that could be used to evacuate the president, Lai Ching-te, to a secure location. President Donald Trump's repetition after the Caracas attack of his desire to take control of the Danish territory of Greenland to boost US security has set Europe on edge. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has called for European unity. Analysts say EU leaders do not know what Trump's new world order will mean for the continent.
So Donald Tusk probably calls for unity, also knowing that what happened in Venezuela is definitely a beginning, if not the final stamp on American effort to sort of legitimize a very new world order in which, unfortunately, neither Europe nor, and here even more, Poland can be certain they will be among those who decide about where they will be in the future.
The fact of the matter is, of course, that the United States is an immensely powerful state, and it has the ability to impose its will on countries and nations around the world. And now the US president has gotten the idea that apparently he wants to incorporate Greenland into the United States, and there's very, very little Denmark, Greenland, the Nordic countries or Europe can do about that.
Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen says a US takeover of Greenland would amount to the end of the NATO military alliance. Others in Europe are wondering what Trump's new order will mean for them and what he'll do next.
Leaders of France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain, the United Kingdom and Denmark issued a statement in which they expressed solidarity with Greenland and said that its future is for Greenland and Denmark to decide. And as we continue, it's time for an update from Switzerland. The Le Constellation bar, where 40 people died and 116 were injured in a fire on New Year's Eve, had not had any safety checks since 2019, the mayor of Crans-Montana has said. A video of a previous New Year's Eve party at the bar shows that the danger posed by the foam padding on the ceiling had been known for a long time. Authorities have said that the fire was likely started by sparklers that were too close to the ceiling.
The Le Constellation bar, where 40 people died and 116 were injured in a fire on New Year's Eve, had not had any safety checks since 2019, the mayor of Crans-Montana has said. On Tuesday, Swiss officials issued an update on the deadly fire at the ski resort bar.
Periodic fire inspections were not carried out between 2020 and 2025. The municipal council became aware of this situation after reviewing the documents submitted to the public prosecutor's office this past weekend. We deeply regret this. The courts will determine the impact of this oversight on the chain of events that led to the tragedy. We will assume all the responsibility that the courts determine.
A ban on all kinds of sparklers at local venues was also announced. Authorities have said that the fire was likely started by sparklers that were too close to the ceiling. All 116 people injured in the fire have been identified, as the bodies of the first foreign victims were repatriated. The coffins of 4 Italians killed arrived at Milan's Linate airport on Monday. Among the injured were 68 Swiss citizens, 21 French, 10 Italians, 4 Serbs, and 4 dual nationals, as well as 2 Poles and 1 person each from 7 other countries.
We have an 18-year-old male patient here. He suffered of more than 20% burn surface and additionally has an inhalation injury. In this moment, he is in the operation theater. We are debriding the burned skin areas.
Swiss prosecutors have placed the two bar managers under criminal investigation. They are a French couple who have been named in local media as Jacques and Jessica Moretti.
An indictment for involuntary manslaughter, involuntary bodily harm, and involuntary arson.
A video of a previous New Year's Eve party at Les Constellations bar shows that the danger posed by the foam padding on the bar's ceiling had been known for a long time. An employee warned customers as long as 6 years ago. The video was provided by an anonymous patron who was present at a New Year's Eve party at Les Constellations in 2019. And as the survivors begin their long road to recovery, about 1,000 skiers carved a giant heart into the snow on a World Cup slope in Crans, Montana on Sunday to honor those killed and the injured.
Showcasing the latest products in tech, the 2026 Consumer Electronics Show kicked off today in Las Vegas, where the world's top tech talent, including some of the brightest minds in Poland, are in attendance. And AI is center stage, with robots, computer chips, and AI monetization dominating this year's show. Maciej Wilowski has more.
From foldable phones to smart hair clippers and dancing robots, this year's Consumer Electronics Show will not disappoint. Held in Las Vegas, CES 2026 will feature some of the world's top talent in AI and tech innovation, including Poland's own. Since its debut in 1967, the show is where some of the most iconic consumer products over the past half-century, from home VCRs to CD players and video game consoles, were first unveiled to the public. It's also a mecca for investors seeking out the latest growth opportunities in tech.
Investors are coming here to try to figure out who are the names to own in 2026, where is the next growth opportunities, is it on enterprise AI, is it on consumer AI, is it on robotics?
And robots are performing more tasks than ever before.
Also, robotics is here huge. Robots, they could be like pet robots that you can relate to if you're lonely, you just need companionship or help or alerting if you fall. But more and more humanoid robots are here as well.
From robots to computer chips, AI is the centerpiece of this year's conference.
This is really the centerpiece when it comes to the tech world. I think for years CES was maybe about talking refrigerators and drones. Now it's about the AI revolution.
Some of the biggest names in AI, like NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang and AMD's Lisa Su, are in attendance.
Obviously Jensen, Lisa Su, AMD, and others. It's really the blueprint for the tech world globally, what it's going to look like in 2026.
And with its long record of cutting-edge tech innovation, this year's show could unveil some of the near future's most successful products. Maciej Wilowski for TVP World.
Time for Berlin. More than 25,000 households are still without electricity in Berlin after an arson attack damaged power cables in the southwest of the city. The authorities are providing free accommodation to affected residents who are now staying in various hotels across the city.
A left-wing extremist group known as the Vulkangruppe has taken responsibility in a public letter for deliberately setting fire to the cable bridge in Berlin-Lichterfelde near critical energy infrastructure. Full restoration of services is expected to take until Thursday, with cold weather slowing down repairs. 17 local schools are closed and the city is providing free childcare. Close to 50,000 households and over 2,000 businesses have been affected by the attack.
And from Germany, let's now go to Japan, that is dealing with its own issues as an earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 6.2 hit western Japan on Tuesday morning, followed by a series of sizable aftershocks. The owners of a nuclear power plant around 30 kilometers from the epicenter said the facility is working as normal.
Surveillance camera footage showed the Shimane nuclear power station shaking when the quake hit at around 10:15 a.m. local time. Chugoku Electric Power, which runs the nuclear site, said operations were continuing as usual. The earthquake had a seismic intensity of upper 5 on Japan's 1 to 7 scale, strong enough to make movement difficult without support. The Japan Meteorological Agency said there was no danger of a tsunami.
And so this update from Japan marks the end of the Midday Report. Thank you for joining me. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska and I hope to see you back here on TVP World for more news and features in just a moment. Have a good afternoon.